Well, for more on this, we are joined now by Professor Brook Hailu from the Department of Political Science and International Relations at Addis Ababa University. He is also the Senior Advisor of the African Leadership Excellence Academy in Ethiopia. Professor Brook, very good evening. Suppose congratulations are in order for the signing of this agreement. But the first question is, what is the mood in Ethiopia at the moment?
Indeed. First, thank you for welcoming me and for having me. And thank you for the congratulations. Yesterday rather, was a remarkable day in Ethiopian political history. And people were really thrilled and happy with teary eyes that finally a breakthrough was made. And this 2-year brutal war fought between brother against brother was finally over. So we look forward to really opening a new chapter in the Ethiopian political history. And the Ethiopians really hope that this peace agreement will hold on. And I can come to the nitty-gritty of at least citing or sort of touching upon the major issues that were agreed upon by both sides, meaning the Federal Democratic Republic government of Ethiopia and the rebel group, the TPLF, the Tigray People's Liberation Front.
Now, you talk about the agreement, and one of the things that came out of this was that the Ethiopian government has said a public commitment to safeguarding the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ethiopia has been one of their key demands. What does this actually mean?
Well, by international law and any political entity, any country, the government especially has the national government has the duty to preserve the territorial integrity of the country. And that was what the Addis Ababa government, led by Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed, was doing for the last 2 years. So what triggered the whole thing was, by the way, exactly 2 years ago. Today is the 3rd of November, 2020. Exactly 2 years ago, the TPLF took the initiative to start a war by attacking the Ethiopian military forces stationed in the province of Tigray. And the rest is history, as the saying goes. So what the Ethiopian government was saying all along was that any government, whether it's the American government or what have you, have the duty, the constitutional duty, as a legitimate government, as an elected government, to preserve the integrity of the Ethiopian polity per se. And that was what was handled by the Ethiopian federal government. And that is one of the major reasons why the majority of Ethiopians, millions of them, were supporting the federal government of Ethiopia.
Now, Professor, there is an implementation process that we are expecting. We don't know too much about it. What can we expect from that process?
Yes, here's the deal, as one says in America, and that is first and foremost the TPLF, the rebel group, by the way, which had ruled Ethiopia for, believe it or not, 27 to 29 years. They were put aside by the Ethiopian people in 2018 after a 3-year bloody people's uprising. Ever since then, they went back to the northern province of Tigray. They began to consolidate their power. They began to take over the federal artillery and heavy weapons and tanks that were deployed at the border between Ethiopia and Eritrea. And once they were ready, in November 3rd, exactly 2 years ago, the war started. So the initiative was taken by the rebel forces. Therefore, here is the deal. First and foremost, TPLF will be disarmed. They have agreed to that. Second, after 5 days, after the signing of the agreement, after a 5 days period, the military leaders of both sides will draw up a detailed process of disarming, in phases, disarming the TPLF forces found throughout Tigray. And another point is, after the signing after 10 days of the signing agreement, the senior military officers of the two parties, especially the TPLF, they will hand over all the heavy weapons, tanks, artillery, and what have you, to the Ethiopian National Defense Forces. And another point that was agreed, it was an 8-point agreement. The fourth point that was agreed upon was that after 7 days, exactly a week from today, the Ethiopian Federal Forces will enter the regional capital city of Mekelle, which, by the way, is totally surrounded by the Ethiopian forces as we speak. And the whole of Tigray is liberated already in the past few weeks. So the Mekelle regional and a government, provisional government, will be set up after 7 days.
Now, Professor, please allow me to come in. We've got very little time left. Now,
Okay.
my final question is around Eritrea. Eritrea has been accused of being a part of the fighting, the warring that has gone on. Are they mentioned in this peace deal? What role will they or will they not play?
They are not mentioned, but I will take it in a very tacit way. The very reason of the involvement of Eritrea was that the TPLF, once they started their offensive to replace the federal government led by Dr. Abiy 2 years ago, they not only attacked the federal troops, but they also attacked in the north Eritrean troops. They also moved into the Amhara regional state. They moved into the Afar regional state in all 4 fronts. So then that meant that the Eritrean troops were drawn into the conflict. Now, regarding the tacit point, what I would like to say is that the Ethiopian federal forces will take each positions at the border between Ethiopia and Eritrea, and the Ethiopian federal forces will continue their duty of maintaining international borders between Eritrea and Ethiopia. So that has also been taken care of by this agreement that was signed in Pretoria yesterday. And by the way, Ethiopians are also very, very thankful of South Africa, the president and the cabinet and the people and the governments of South Africa for hosting the 2 sides in Pretoria in the last 8 days.
Professor Brook, certainly appreciate your time. We were speaking to Professor Brook Hailu from the Department of Political Science and International Relations at Addis Ababa University, and he was unpacking for us that peace agreement signed by the warring parties in Tigray region in Ethiopia.